Today on the topic show, Trump Instagram video game parody of Kamala Harris goes viral. Half the Democrats now want a border. More advertisers to leave ex-Twitter. Larry Ellison to rule Paramount Global after deal closes. Lumber Liquidators closing 400 stores and going bankrupt for good. 7-Eleven parent company rejects a Canadian takeover. And Disney pulls ABC, ESPN, and more from DirecTV as negotiations turn sour. All of that and much more on the topping show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Tease me, see that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Lumber Liquidators closing 400 stores and going bankrupt for good, unfortunately. Now, this comes to us thanks to the good old Fox Business, which somehow is still in business. I can't but think I account for 89% of the web traffic these days, checking it every other day. I only partially jest, but Liquid Liquidators is sad to see them going. I mean, they had pretty good advertising. When I was a kid, I think my dad went there once or twice. They had a lot of commercials. They had pretty good airtime. You see them all over. But unfortunately, it looks like recent years have not been so great for them. Now, this comes with thanks to Michael Dorgan, who's a writer over there, saying, quote, LL Flooring, hardware store once known as Lumber Liquidators, closed 400 stores in bankruptcy proceeding. And the fact that they don't have their iconic logo is an abomination, to say the least. They have what looks like a very modern logo. Almost looks like it should be a banking institution with that kind of logo. That's a little disappointing. They used to have the one that was like actual lumber, which would make more sense. But nevertheless, they say, quote, Nation retailer LL Flooring, previously known as Lumber Liquidators, had announced it is getting out of business after 30 years, following a failed effort to find a buyer just weeks after filing bankruptcy. The Richmond, Virginia headquartered firm, which had about 442 nationwide stores open until recently, said it will permanently shutter after negotiations with multiple bidders did not result in an offer, the company announced on its website. The company had said last month it had already initiated closing down at 94 stores. Known for offering hard surface flooring products and being a formidable competitor to Home Depot, LL Flooring filed for relief under Chapter 11 U.S. Bankruptcy Court in District of Delaware in early August, when the company's saying it was secured $130 million in debt or in possession of financing from an existing bank group led by Bank of America. However, under Chapter 11 rules, FF Flooring says that it required to achieve the highest or otherwise best offer for the company business or assets, and given the lack of a buyer, it determined the sale of the individual assets holding closing stores as stores dwindling in sales would deliver the most value to creditors. CEO Charles Tyson said, quote, as a result, it is with a heavy heart that we must let you know that we're going to begin the process of winding down LL Flooring business and closing all of our stores. It's even more heartbreaking when they say that the closure will result in around 2,000 workers losing their jobs. Now, that's according to CBS. Tyson wrote that the closing sales begin last week and will be held for 12 weeks as they start closing the stores slowly but surely. Orders currently in place for installations will be fulfilled within 30 days, and orders for new installations have stopped. Tyson continues saying, quote, we look forward to offering you the great deals through the closing process. We have been proud to serve our customers over the years, and thank you again for your business and returning to us for your flooring needs. Lumber Liquidators was founded in 1994 by Tom Sullivan, a building contractor who began purchasing excess wood from other companies. The company quickly grew to be one of the largest retailers of hardwood flooring in the country and expanded in Canada in 2010. Now, they noted that the company had been navigating choppy waters since 2015. Reports suggested that Lumber Liquidators' laminated flooring products had high levels of cancer-causing toxin formaldehyde, which had been imported from China. Or, let's be honest, when we see or hear that word, what we really hear is China. But I only partially kid. Say formaldehyde is found in the glue that manufacturers use to produce composite wood products like fiberboard, which forms the base of laminate flooring. That report from 60 Minutes causing the shares to immediately drop, 23% to $39.73. Following that report, stock crashed to 82 cents to 2 cents since filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy last month. And it looks like they rebranded in 2020 to LL Flooring, which, again, that's such an uninspiring logo. I mean, I mean, the old logo is literally just a piece of wood, which makes sense. It's liquid, like Lumber Liquidators. I'm not sure why I was speaking enough to today. However, if you do me a favor and click that subscribe button, I have a theory that might help. When I first started the show, barely any subscribers, barely any followers, but as I slowly but surely gain more followers and subscribers, I have slowly but surely improved my speaking. Some might argue it's just a modicum of improvement, barely anything at all. However, I think it is a statistical improvement. So if you can click that button, I would greatly appreciate it and will make the show better. I theorize. The old logo was just so iconic. They built that logo for decades. I remember I can still visualize it in my head when I was a kid. Now it is just ridiculous. Now I am interested. It is interesting that Home Depot or Lowe's did not make an offer for the company. Home Depot, was it 1 or 2 fiscal quarters ago? I believe they spent about $23 billion for a company headquartered out of McKinney. Had similar distribution of raw materials for homes, specifically targeted contractor type of customers. So it was interesting that they didn't, maybe the bid wasn't enough, but yeah, given just the inventory and the customer list alone would be worth something to someone. Granted, going through bankruptcy, people will be buying some of those assets for pennies on the dollar, but it's sad to be what used to be one of the iconic sources for wood material. And again, hopefully the 2,000 employees are being let go are able to find jobs from the competitors. Just coming off the top of my head, Home Depot and Lowe's being the two of the biggest competitors in this product in this type of category, and hopefully none of them are unemployed for too long. But it's sad to see yet another business bite the dust, and who knows? Maybe one of the laid off employees will be inspired to start their own business and might even eclipse what was Lumber Liquidators. But I mean, anecdotally speaking, I personally, granted, I unfortunately am in a position where I'm renting most of my life. Someday I hope to own a house, but it's one of the instances where I've had a need to procure the products. But have you ever been there in the past, 5, 10 years? And did you even know they rebranded? Let me know in the comments because, as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have 7-Eleven parent company rejecting the Canadian takeover, once again remaining owned by good old Japan-based. Now, this comes to us thanks to Fox Business yet again, somehow. I mean, I must be 90% of their web traffic today, but only partially kid. This is from Ellison Murphy, who is a writer over there, saying, quote, 7-Eleven parent rejects acquisition proposal from Canada-based convenience store giant. Almiatan Couche-Tard, which runs convenience stores such as Circle K, made an offer in August, which, interesting parent company name for the Canadian entity. Now, I was going to say, Circle K is pretty popular. There's actually, interestingly enough, is one actually near me I've seen. They say, quote, 7 and I on Friday declined the preliminary proposal that Almiatan Couche-Tard made last month to require Japan corporate parent of 7-Eleven convenience store chain. The decision was unanimous, one from 7-I's board based on unanimous proposition of the special committee that the company put together to weigh in on the proposal. Chairman Stephen Dawkins wrote in a letter. The couch, this can't be a real name. I know it is, but I'm probably mispronouncing it because it's Canadian. It's French or something. Couche-Tard says, whose brands include Couche-Tard, Circle K, and Ingo, have proposed spending $14.86 per share to acquire all 7 and I's outstanding shares, according to the letter. Dawkins said that 7 and I's board does not believe, for several critical reasons, that proposal we put forward provides a basis for us to engage in substantive discussions regarding a potential transaction. He did note 7 and I was open to engaging in sincere discussions should he put forward a proposal that fully recognizes our standalone intrinsic value and addresses our concerns regarding the certainty of closing or not closing of stores. Awkward comment, but try to read it exactly as is. So you can see one of the, actually, it's funny, in America it's 7-Eleven, it's so iconic. It looks like in Japan, obviously it's in Japanese writing, but it is very interesting. It's so bizarre to see an iconic logo in different characters. Now, they say that, quote, the special committee believes that your proposal is opportunistically timed and grossly undervalues our standalone path and our additional actionable avenues we see to realize and unlock shareholder value in the short term and medium term. 7 and I's chairman wrote of the preliminary offer, the board is confident that it can realize and unlock shareholder value through a number of strategic actions, including but not limited to our U.S. businesses that we're actively pursuing. Which, fun fact today, if people think 7-Eleven is big in America, and it is, it's huge. Or as Trump would say, huge, but in all seriousness, there's actually more locations in Japan. You can't throw, especially, I guess they don't throw bricks, you can't throw a Pokeball without hitting a 7-Eleven in Japan. They are everywhere. And globally, they have 85,000 locations, which is quite a few to say the least. So again, it's interesting the way that they're phrasing it, because again, they're phrasing it basically rudimentary, saying if you give us a real offer, we'll actually have discussions. So they're not cutting it off completely. But I do wonder, what does that other company bring to the table? Circle K, they've been around for quite some time. I'm not sure. I've never been stabbed at Circle K. I mean, that's certainly good news. But it's never, more often than not, it's never really a clean, well-established, environment. Anecdotally speaking, living in the Midwest and South of the United States, I've had better experiences with 7-Eleven establishments, in general, on average. But yeah, it would. Yeah, let me know. When's the last time you actually went to a 7-Eleven, and do you think they really would benefit from this type of acquisition? And what's your overall what's your whole perspective, and what are your thoughts on 7-Eleven experience? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Culture Proud podcast, you have more advertisers leaving Twitter as Exodus continues. This comes to us thanks to a website called futurism.com, in which they say, quote, and specifically this is from Frank Landymore, he's right over there, saying, quote, Elon Musk in deep trouble as even more advertisers are planning to leave Twitter's toxic cesspool. They'll be on Facebook, though, of course. So he says, quote, advertisers and the precious revenue they bring have been fleeing X, formerly Twitter, ever since Elon took it over in October 2022, bringing with him groundswell of hate speech, misinformation, and racist rhetoric, a lot of which comes from his own account. The attacks against Elon continue. Remember, hate speech isn't a speech they just hate. Now they say, quote, now that the site's marketing prognosis almost dire, it's about to get worse. New research from the firm Kantar indicates a record 26% of advertisers planning to cut spending on Twitter next year, which could be the death sentence for those whose revenues are already in freefall. This is from Ganchi Mumbai, who's the director of global thought and leadership at Kantar. He says, quote, marketers are brand custodians and need to trust the platforms they use. He continues to, quote, X has changed so much in recent years that it can be unpredictable from one day to the next. It's difficult to feel confident about your brand's safety in that environment. Let's see here. They say the metrics add a climate of uncertainty surrounding Twitter's future, which is a probability that's driving advertisers away more than anything. They want stability, not fatality. According to a report, which has compiled by interviewing 1,000 senior marketers and 18,000 consumer groups across the globe, just 4% of marketers think Twitter ads provide brand safety, whereas Google enjoys considerable more trust at 39%. Now, Mumbai also says advertisers have been moving their marketing away that spend from X for several years. The stark acceleration of this trend in the past 12 months means a turnaround seems unlikely. Of course, they bring up the interview that last time Elon was at the forum or the summit. He basically told people who didn't like the platform to go F themselves when they were trying to threaten Elon, saying, hey, if you don't start to censor more people, we're going to take away those marketing dollars. And ultimately speaking, I think X has gotten a lot better under Elon's taking it over. You're not censored so much on X, which is great for a lot of independent reporters, like great for a lot of independent thinkers. And it's all those instances where I wonder how much Elon really cares if advertisers leave. I wonder if some of it is just marketing metrics. I mean, one of the reasons I've been, so not to brag, but I do have my account on X Twitter, the Topping Show, blue checkmark. I'm fancy in that regard. But it's one of those things where my tech company, I've been hesitant to pay for advertising on X Twitter because of the type of way you're able to curate an audience and strategically target, prospective clients. Now, LinkedIn, while wholeheartedly ineffective, in my opinion, well, they're very good. And same with Facebook, you could target people based on not just geography, but you target people based on their industry, their job title, their tenure in profession. And for a lot of especially I have a business to business type of sales methodology where my tech company works with businesses exclusively, not individual consumers. In that regard, it's much more difficult to get an ROI out of those platforms. Even LinkedIn, when I do pay to boost ads, which I debate, the engagement might be 1% click rate, and we barely get any traction in regard to the market campaign. So actually, I've stopped pretty much all paid advertising on X Twitter the past couple of months, on LinkedIn. Now with X Twitter, if he can get to the point where you actually know everyone's job title, their profession, their industry, if you had that type of detail, and again, maybe he'll update this terms, he'll update it by tomorrow or by the time this video is running uploaded, who knows? But to me, as a small business owner, that's been my major hesitation. In terms of individual products, like if you're selling products to consumers, like if you're selling coffee or some type of thing where you're just buying directly from a manufacturer, That I think would be a much more compelling reason to advertise on X Twitter. But yeah, that's one of my hesitations. I wonder how many people are taking that into account for looking at their advertising dollars. Now, also, I don't know how much Elon really cares because again, he's got billions of dollars. He does have some investors with him on X Twitter. Now, I'm not sure if those people are thinking they're going to make their money back, in a short term or long term, or if they did it just because they believe in Elon and they want to maybe just be closer to him and other investments. Maybe they're hoping, well, I'll invest a little bit, X Twitter. Elon will remember this, and then maybe be one of the early investors or one of the first major investors to grow SpaceX or something like that. All interesting, speculation. But in terms of people using X Twitter, that's been increasing. I think personally, culturally speaking, I think there are some people certainly alienated by the platform a couple of years when Elon first took over, but I think overall the usage is growing. I think there's a lot of potential. I think there's a reason people still talk about it as such a big part of the culture, especially in the United States and globally. It is a beacon of free speech, which is so invaluable. I think that will bring more eyeballs, more prospective clients, and long-term more advertisers. But let me know in the comments, do you think this might kneecap the company completely? Do you think in a couple months, maybe more businesses will start to pay for advertising on there? Let me know in the comments because, as always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Larry Ellison to rule Paramount Global after a deal is closed. This comes with thanks to Todd Spangler, who's a writer at Variety. They say that, quote, tech tycoon Larry Ellison will control Paramount Global after Skydance deal closes. You can see Larry Ellison right there. Which he says, quote, Larry Ellison, the mega billionaire founder of Oracle, will be the majority stakeholder in National Amusements Inc., the company that controls Paramount Global, after the expected close of the deal of Skydance Media, led by his son, David Ellison, next year, according to a regulatory filing. It is understood that Larry Ellison would obtain a majority stake in NAI, but now there's official confirmation. He will own 77.5% of the National Amusements through Pinnacle Media, a group of 3 venture firms as special purpose vehicles to hold the Ellison family's interest in NIA and Paramount, according to the FCC filing. The remaining 22.5% of NAI will be owned by Jerry Cardinal, the head of private equity firm Redbird Capital Partners, which teamed with Skydance and Ellison's on the NAI Paramount deal. The filing also reveals that Ellison and Redbird agreed to a loan up to $277 million to NAI during the period prior to the deal closing. National Amusements is permitted to make one loan request during that time. They continue to say, quote, the FCC filing disclosing the ownership of the stakes at NAI was required because the transaction involves the transfer of CBS's 28 owned and locally operated TV stations. Skydance Group's filing with the FCC is an application requesting that the agency approve the transfer of control of television broadcast licenses. Interesting. They say on July 7th, after months of on-again, off-again talks, Skydance and Redbird came together in NAI and Paramount Global, announcing the binding agreement that will see Skydance Group buy shares of Shari Redstone's NAI, which owns 77% of the voting power in Paramount. It'll be interesting to see. Again, this is, some of the best. They made some great films throughout the years, and yeah, another issue with a lot of media production companies kind of crapshoot in terms of you make all these movies, how many of them will actually make actual money and profits to actually fund the whole operation, and statistically speaking, so many lose money. And definitely a huge part of the culture and the cinema history. And it'll be, what type of media will they push? What type of movies will they make? Or what kind of production will they push? And how much of a hands-on approach will Larry have? There's a lot of uncertainty. I was gonna say it can't get much worse in cinema these days. But yeah, pretty surprised. There's been a rumor about these companies being purchased for like almost a decade now. It's been almost a comical mergers and acquisition community. But it is interesting to see it finally go through. And do you think that's more of a laissez-faire approach where he won't make any changes at all? Or do you think they'll make some drastic changes, maybe make the company more profitable? Let me know in the comments because, as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have Trump's Kamala Harris Instagram game meme going viral, to say the least. And of course, I have to emphasize for the millionth time, this is a parody that Trump made, so good old YouTube doesn't strike it down. Yet another reason to tune in on rumble.com, the topping show. Infinitely more free speech there. Now, this was put on the X Twitter thanks to End Wokeness. He says, quote, Trump just posted this on Instagram. It's about 36 seconds long, but it's ridiculously hilarious. So I'm obviously going to watch the whole thing. Got some funny music here, and I'll read out the parts that are on text. So if you're tuning in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, something like that, you can also understand. It says, choose your fighter. It's like an old-timey video game from the 8-bit or the 16-bit era of game computing. This is stats, and it's Kamala Harris. It says mortgage rates 7.75%, personal savings negative 73%, credit card delinquency 50% up, real weekly wages down 3.9%. Then you have Trump. It says mortgage rates 2.77%, personal savings 385% plus, credit card delinquency down negative 11%, real weekly wages 80.2%, which, yeah, is nothing more soul crushing than looking at the Zillow, than looking at the interest rate calculator to see what would the monthly payments be. You see the difference between like a 2% and 7%. You're like, oh dear God, it's not gonna happen. That's a thing. And Trump gives himself some pixelated glasses at the end. If you pick the Trump side, it has, of course, bald eagle screeching, but also dollar bills raining and the American flag in the background. That's hilarious. I mean, that is exceptional marketing. Or Trump would probably say, that marketing is the best around. I am the best of the memers. I am on the gram, Instagram, not just for teddy bears, apparently. But in all seriousness, that's going to resonate with a lot of the folks that are really into those retro video games. And I mean, past 3-4 years especially, the interest in retro video games has increased exponentially. And it's hard to beat a good old cartridge-based system. Granted, you might have to blow it every once in a while or rub a little rubbing alcohol in the contact leads. But yeah, don't have to worry about downloadable, DLC, that cost, internet connection, or taking 12.5 minutes to download an extra map on Call of Duty. Just slap that cartridge in and play GoldenEye on the N64. So I'm still to this day stuck on Temple when I played every couple months. Someday I'll get past was it Secret Agent or Double Agent, the very top one? Write in the comments, do you remember that game? Or is it just me? But in all seriousness, this is a great political ad. It only got, interestingly enough, at least, again, this is from End Wokeness on his account, got about 200,000 views and 5.6 thousand likes. And one of the top comments coming from America Papa Bear saying, quote, it's funny that some people say that Trump doesn't know how to do social media. What do you guys think? Getting 23 likes. Cash Loren says, quote, Trump ads have been on point this election. He's nailing every single one, getting 26 likes. Mr. Bigglesworth Memes says, I choose Trump. It's a picture of Trump and some text on screen says, we're going to make this country, well, that's a Trump quote. I'll try to say it poorly, but I will make the attempt. We're going to make this country, we're going to make it into an incredible country that can afford to take care of its people, and then we will have to worry about the rest of the world. Trump. Terrible impression, probably. Perhaps worst of the year, might be an award in that, maybe. Let me know in the comments below. I did get 4 likes, not me, but, that quote. Paul Zupa says, quote, I miss the 80s. It was easy campaigning when all the numbers were all in your favor, getting 5 likes. Philip Anderson says, F. Kamala Harris and everyone who supports her, Trump 2024, getting 109 likes. Chuck Costello says, laughing emoji, Trump all day, getting 25 likes. See here. Any contrarian statements? Politico Rican has 2 pictures of Kamala Harris, one where she was younger, says America's economy under Trump, then her now says America's economy under Kamala. She looks like 100 years older. I'm not sure if this is CGI. So, just showing that picture maybe got taken off the YouTube. Yeah, no reason to tune into rumble.com. That did get 4 likes. Steven Voiceover says, I miss 8-bit music, getting 11 likes. Hard to beat the Nintendo Entertainment System, known as the NES. What was your favorite NES game? Let me know in the comments there. Let's see here. I don't see any contrarian statements. A lot of people doing pictures of American Eagles. Liberty Pill Memes has a AI, maybe this is a real picture. It says, well, got a big endorsement. It says Russian dudes for Harris, since Vladimir Putin riding a horse, getting 9 likes. Here. Not too many contrarian statements. Again, I think that was hilarious. It was accurate. It was on point. It was nice and short. I mean, one of the best political campaign commercials I've seen in years. And let me know in the comments. Do you think this will resonate with the majority of a lot of people? Do you think it'll just be a small flash in the pan? Don't remember in a couple days. Let me know in the comments because, as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news: you have half of Democrats now saying they want a border. As Kamala says, yeah, I'll totally do that, and flops yet again. Though, thanks to the internet, everything is forever. You will have many examples of her saying, how evil it is to have a border for a country. Now, this comes with thanks to good old Libs at TikTok, in which she says, quote, half of Democrats now want to finish Donald Trump's border wall. Remember when Kamala Harris called a border wall a, quote, medieval vanity project? We do. Here's a little infographic there. Let me see if I can pull up some of the sample size and sources. Now, well, infographic is a bar graph. It says 2/3 want the U.S. to complete our expanded walls along the U.S.-Mexico border. So the question was, to what extent do you agree or disagree with the statement? The U.S. must complete expand walls alongside the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, let's say the source was NSA TIPP poll, September 2024. Field August 28th, August 30th. Sample size was 1,582 adults, plus or minus 2 points. Online survey created with the data wrapper. It looks like overall, 47% say strongly agree, 18% say somewhat agree, 13% say somewhat disagree somewhat, 14% say disagree strongly, 8% said not sure. Of Democrats, 27% said agree strongly, 23% said agree somewhat, 18% disagree somewhat, 23% say disagree strongly, and 9% say not sure. All those uncertainty. Now, Republicans, 74% strongly agree, 15% somewhat agree, 5% somewhat disagree somewhat, 4% disagree strongly, and 2% not sure. Say what we want about Republicans, they are sometimes sure of things. Then independents, 41% strongly agree, 17% agree somewhat. That's the key, because again, one of the biggest things you got to win over in the elections is the independent voters. You also have 15% of independents saying disagree somewhat, 15% strongly disagree, and 13% unsure. The most unsure of all the groups, not too surprised they'd be in that metric as well. And ran pretty viral, got about 80,000, not actually as viral as I thought it'd go, got 80,000 views and 2.4 thousand likes. Now, here's of course, we had to play at least one clip of Kamala back when she was all evil, all bad. This is when apparently she's on CNN. This is back when she was a senator as well.
This administration.
Also, and that's what takes full screen. There we go.
This administration has decided to vilify them and to trade on them for the sake of this president's medieval vanity project called a wall.
But let me ask.
Worked for China for hundreds of years. We want one too. It'll be bigger and gold. Donald Trump, probably. I mean, not really, but gotta go for it sometimes. Now, one of the first comments comes from AKA saying, quote, we could have had a wall right now, but Biden and Kamala decided to stop construction of it, getting 87 likes, which, another thing I never want to hear. I never want to hear someone say, we can't afford a wall. Most rudimentary, ridiculous argument. When we spent over $200 billion to support Ukrainians' wall, the Ukraine wall, for their border. I know they have a wall per se, but spent that much defending their border, but we spend hardly anything defending our border. That's just ridiculous. Now, American Papa Bear says, quote, we have seen it firsthand first over the last 4 years what an open border can do to this country. I don't care if you're on the left or on the right or in the middle. It's not good for our republic. Getting 10 likes. Should get more than that. We'll give it 11. We also have Planet of Memes. Oh, though in this case, they did not use a meme. A little disappointed there. They just used rudimentary text. Again, your name is Planet of Memes. It should always be a meme, but I partially digress. Planet of Memes says, quote, perhaps the Democrats should vote for Trump, getting 30 likes. Yeah, they should. See here. I should have Salty Goat saying, quote, these people have zero standards and will agree with whatever they're told, getting 33 likes. Red Wave Press says, build the wall and stop the invasion, getting 26 likes. See here. I Love American News says, truth, hashtag America First. It's a picture of Trump by the border. It does have a quote, so I'll attempt his, we might get sick of it by now, but I'll attempt his vernacular one more time. So Trump said, quote, having a wall does not mean keep out. It means use the door. And the doorknob will be platinum and gold with just a diamond or two. Perhaps the worst impression. Let me know in the comments. I've gone full Trump vernacular accent for this part of the show. I don't think I've done this many impressions in a long time. I got 16 likes. Not me, but, that quote. Moni says, hundreds of billions of dollars spent housing and feeding migrants, and Trump wants just 10 billion to build a friggin' wall, and they couldn't give it to him. This is why I love to see Elon Musk make the United States fiscally responsible with common business sense, getting 5 likes. That would be nice. Been decades of ineptitude in terms of spending and budgeting by the U.S. government. I don't think the Pentagon's ever passed an audit for like a balanced budget. We have to be fiscally responsible, but of course they don't. Ridiculous. Velo Snob says they'll never build a border wall. They might put up Jersey barriers and call it a wall. Harris will flood our country with illegals if elected. I mean, she already has 11 million illegals in the past 41 months. Ridiculous, apparently. Let's see here. Scott says she literally always looks hammered, getting 3 likes. Ellie Max says, wow, half of Democrats agree with Trump. Getting 2 likes. Mr. Positive, although interestingly enough, his statement's not positive, perhaps an ironic account. He says Democrats are pathetic. It's the, what is it, Monty Python? Just says shame, shame, shame. GIF, getting 1 like. Patriot 8 says, oh snap, even the Democrats are turning on her, getting 4 likes. Gorilla the Gorilla says, fate loves irony, getting 2 likes. Kamala Harinima says, yeah, they said it was racist as well, just not vanity project but racist, getting 3 likes. So I think the border will be one of the top topics for the upcoming election. Now, how many people actually believe Kamala where she says, oh yeah, now I'm going to fix it? I mean, I would hope no one would believe her because, again, she's had 3+ years. I mean, of all the jobs Biden gave her, he didn't give her much responsibility. He didn't give her much jobs at all. One of the few responsibilities he told her was going to go fix the border. They were calling her the border czar. And when she most recent pathetic attempt, futile attempt to explain her ineptitude, she said, oh yeah, I won't attempt her accent because you don't know what time of day her accent changes that much. But she basically said, oh yeah, my job is to meet with the leaders of these other countries and start diplomatic, talks so they wouldn't send any more, which clearly failed epically. And she famously didn't visit the border for like, what was it, a couple of years? Ridiculous. And I do think this will be one of the most important topics for the upcoming election. And let me know, do you think people will realistically switch sides, politically speaking? It's pretty rare. Libertarians or people in the middle do seem to switch sides much more frequency than someone on the right versus someone on the left, switching completely. And let me know, do you think people believe Kamala where she says now she's going to build one? Let me know in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Disney pulling ABC, ESPN, and other channels from DirecTV during negotiations as they sour, which I don't want to say this is like clockwork, but it seems to happen every contract renewal. These companies get in fights, and the end user is the one that gets hurt. Now, this comes to us thanks to Liam, who's a writer over at CNN Business specifically. They say, quote, Disney pulls ABC, ESPN, and other channels from DirecTV in carriage standoff. Pull it up here. They say, quote, Disney pulled its ABC stations, ESPN, and others their lineup as the two companies failed to reach a new distribution deal, leaving millions of sports fans in the dark as the college, sports ball, and NFL seasons get underway. The expiration of an agreement between the two companies led to Disney-owned networks going dark for more than 11 million satellite subscribers ahead of the Sunday night football between Trojans and Tigers. Midway through the U.S. Tennis Tournament Open. Wow. This is the content creator at DirecTV, Rob Thun, saying, quote, the Walt Disney Company is once again refusing any accountability to consumers, distribution partners, and now American judicial system. Disney is in business of creating alternative realities, but this is the real world where we believe you earn your way and you must answer for your own actions. They want to continue to chase maximum profits and dominate control at the expense of consumers, making it hard for them to select the shows and sports they want at a reasonable price, unquote. They continue saying, while the standoff knocked ESPN and Disney-owned ABC affiliates off the nation's third largest paying TV provider, also forced other networks to go dark service, including FX, National Geographic, and Freeform. So even more. Now, this is actually from Disney Entertainment's chief, Dana Waldron, saying, quote, DirecTV chose to deny millions of subscribers access to our content just as we were a week into the final week of the U.S. Open and gear up for college football opening NFL season. You also have ESPN Chairman Jimmy Petros in a statement, while we are open to offering DirecTV flexible terms while we've extended our other distributors, we will not enter into an agreement that undervalues our portfolio of television channels and our programs. We urge DirecTV to do the best things in the best interest of the consumers and finalize a deal that would immediately restore programming, unquote. They continue saying, quote, as negotiations between the two parties stretch on, Disney offered DirecTV a sports-centric package that includes ESPN networks and ABC networks, as well as a select of Disney linear channels paired at the entertainment's giant direct-to-consumer services. A person familiar with the matter at CNN noted. Which, again, this is ridiculous. And it's also, looking at the comments really quick, pretty cyclical. So somebody named MPH says, Disney pulled the same stunt before the 2023 NFL Super Bowl. They ran on nothing and pure greed. Dilly said, I'm glad I switched from DirecTV to YouTube streaming. I save money and more inclusive channels. Let's see here. Graham says, what do I think? I want to be compensated more than $20 for missing SEC football games next weekend if this fiasco isn't settled by then. It's pure media greed at its finest. It's who will settle first, who will give in. After I get what I want from DirecTV, I'm going on a long vacation to a world where I can watch what I want when I want. Getting 2 likes. Let's see. Elrose says there's no such thing as DirecTV. The company, call it what it is, AT&T versus Disney, 2 big companies playing games. Which, yeah, this is a wholly owned subsidiary. And again, it is like clockwork. Like this, every time. I don't know if these companies just don't know how to negotiate properly, or they just clearly don't care about consumers because of lack of options, maybe. But every time these contracts are under negotiation, they always seem to let it expire. And I feel terrible for people who actually pay for these services because now they're not getting it at all. They're missing out. And again, some people worship the sports balls. Just missing one game means a lot. It means a lot to them. It's not just the monetary value of how much they pay per month for the subscription. Obviously, they receive getting more value out of it than the dollar amount because that's why they're paying for it. So again, I would say this business blunder is on both sides in terms of AT&T and Disney, but the fact that they let this expire yet again and all the consumers are losing out on the content that they're paying for, I gotta say that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.